A king became so blinded by lust that he started looking at his own real daughter, his own flesh and blood, with wrong intentions. But then something happened that shook everything. In a kingdom named Vilasanagar, King Madanpal was ruling. King Madanpal was a very cunning and lecherous kind of person who always thought only about luxury and sensual pleasures. Any beautiful woman in the kingdom upon whom King Madanpal's eyes fell, he would make her his object of pleasure. Queen Prem Lata was very sad because of the king's this habit. But the king had no concern for the queen's happiness or sorrow. He remained busy in his colorful programs. He drank a lot of alcohol and indulged in sensual pleasures with new women. The wicked King Madanpal had no children. But he was not even bothered about this. If he ever worried once or twice, it was only about the fact that if he had a son, he would handle the kingdom after him. His dynasty would continue. Otherwise, he had no special desire for a son either. Time was passing like this. The poor Queen Prem Lata was somehow passing her days. One day the queen's health deteriorated. The royal physician was called. When the royal physician examined the queen, it was found that Queen Prem Lata was pregnant. When this news reached King Madanpal, he felt very relieved. There was some improvement in his habits. But this improvement lasted only for a very short time. After 9 months, Queen Prem Lata gave birth to a very beautiful and wonderful girl. When the king, who was waiting for a son, got this news, his blood began to boil. He immediately sent a message to the queen that he would never even look at the face of the girl born from her womb. She should keep his daughter away from him. If she ever came in front of his eyes, he would immediately send her along with the queen to the valley of death. When the poor queen received this message from the king, she swallowed the bitterness and remained silent. Apart from this, what else could the poor woman do? Now the only support the queen had was her newborn daughter. The queen felt as if she had got a new life in the form of her daughter. The extremely beautiful girl with lovely features was like the queen's very life. Whenever the queen touched her and caressed her, all her sorrows would disappear. Seeing the extraordinary beauty of her daughter, the queen named her Taravati. The king had become even more wicked. After the birth of the girl, he had completely stopped going near the queen. Now he had become far more cruel than before and began openly doing whatever he pleased. Time passed like this. Princess Taravati had now turned 10 years old. She was so beautiful that there was no one like her in the entire world. Queen Prem Lata now started worrying about the marriage of her daughter, Princess Taravati. Because in the olden days, marriages were performed in childhood itself. And when their 18th year was celebrated, their gauna was done, meaning the girl had to leave her home and go to the boy's house with whom she was married. With this worry, the queen went before the king and said, "Your Majesty, if you do not wish to see even the face of your daughter, then so be it. If you do not want to come near me either, then let it be. But now our daughter has turned 10 years old. At least, if not for your own daughter, then for the sake of society. What will people say? Why is the king not getting his daughter married? At this age, everyone gets their children married. Therefore, O king, quickly find a suitable groom for the princess and get her married." The king, who was listening to Queen Prem Lata's words reluctantly, pondered over them and thought that the queen was right. What would everyone think? With this thought, the king, though unwillingly, started searching for a groom for Princess Taravati. Just a few days later, the marriage alliance for Princess Taravati was finalized in a nearby kingdom called Pratapgarh. In those days, King Dharmapal was ruling over Pratapgarh. He had only one son, whose name was Abhimanyu. At the appointed time, the marriage of Princess Taravati with Prince Abhimanyu was completed. Time passed like this. Princess Tara had now turned 18 years old. She had become even more beautiful than before. Whatever beautiful form God had given to Princess Taravati, her intelligence was equally sharp. The time for Princess Taravati to go to her in-laws' house had also come near. As the day for the princess to leave for her marital home approached, Queen Prem Lata's health kept deteriorating. When Queen Prem Lata felt that she might not survive now and would perhaps bid farewell to this world before her daughter's departure, she went to the king. With tears in her eyes, she pleaded him. "Your Majesty, I know very well that you hate our daughter. From her childhood till today, you have not even liked to look at her once. But now I don't think I will live for many more days. Therefore, O Maharaj, I am now handing over the responsibility of my daughter to you. Until her gauna takes place, until she is sent off to her in-laws' house, you will have to take care of the princess. Perform her gauna with great pomp and splendor and bid farewell to our daughter, Maharaj. This is my last prayer to you," with folded hands. Seeing the queen's condition, the king took her hand in his own and said, "All right, I will take care of our daughter." After receiving reassurance from the king, Queen Prem Lata passed away. After the queen's death, in accordance with the promise he had made to her, King Madanpal sent a message to Princess Taravati that he would come to meet her today. When Princess Taravati received her father's message, there was no limit to her happiness. Today, for the first time in her life, she was going to meet her father. After finishing the court duties, when the king went to the Zenana palace to meet Princess Taravati and called her out. As soon as Princess Tara heard the king's voice and came before him, King Madanpal was stunned upon seeing her. The wicked king was looking at his own real daughter with lustful, wrong eyes. When King Madanpal saw Princess Taravati for the first time, he forgot that the person standing in front of him was none other than his own blood daughter. The king had never seen such a beautiful girl until today. Madanpal could not believe that the beautiful girl standing before him was the same daughter whom he had hated since birth. He had hated her so much that until today he had not even tolerated seeing her face. But today, when he saw his daughter for the first time, he lost his senses and kept staring at her fixedly. There was no fatherly love in King Madanpal's eyes, but the gaze of a wicked beast who, forgetting all his dignity and honor, was devouring the princess with dirty, lustful glances. Upon seeing the princess, not a single word came out of King Madanpal's mouth, and without saying anything, he quietly returned from there to his bedroom. The wicked king, now completely under the control of lust, was only thinking about Princess Taravati. His mind had suddenly gone numb. Again and again, the same smiling face of Princess Taravati kept appearing before his eyes. Sitting like this, the king didn't even realize when day turned into night and night into day. The image of Princess Taravati was not leaving his mind at all. Thousands of questions and answers, thousands of arguments and counter-arguments were running through his brain simultaneously. Meanwhile, the poor Princess Taravati was also in a state of confusion. The father whom she had been so eager to meet, the father whom she had seen today for the first time in her life after being born, but for some unknown reason, after meeting him, the princess was not feeling even the slightest bit of happiness. Instead, she was troubled and worried, thinking that she had not seen any such emotions on her father's face that one would expect from a father meeting his daughter whom he had not seen for 18 years. On the contrary, the expressions on his face were those that appear on the face of a lustful, greedy man when he looks at a beautiful woman. Meanwhile, when King Madanpal realized that it was morning, he immediately ordered his servant to prepare the horse carriage. In a frenzy, almost like a madman, the king sat in the horse carriage and headed towards the jungle, in the direction of a saintly Mahatma's dwelling. Within a short time, the king reached the abode of the holy saint along with his servant. The king bowed to the saint and sat down. Seeing the king come to him so early in the morning, the saint said with some surprise, "Tell me, dear child, what brings you here so early in the morning? Is everything all right?" Then King Madanpal said to the Mahatma, "O Saint Maharaj, since last night I have been caught in a small dilemma." Hearing the king's words, the Mahatma said, "Tell me, child, what is this dilemma that has brought you to me so early in the morning?" King Madanpal said, "Prabhu, if someone has planted a mango tree, has served it day and night, and after many years when that tree starts bearing fruit, then can't the person who planted the tree eat its fruits himself instead of giving them to someone else? If he eats the fruits of the tree he planted, would that be any crime?" Hearing the king's words, the Mahatma replied, "No, O king, if it is only a matter of eating the fruits of the tree, then what sin can there be in it?" By making up his own convenient story and telling the Mahatma only what suited him, the disgusting king comforted his mind that his filthy thoughts were not wrong. He then happily took leave from the Mahatma and headed back towards his palace. The servant Bhima, who had accompanied the king, found the king's story and his behavior very strange. But what courage did he have to say or ask anything to the king? Meanwhile, the poor princess also could not sleep properly the entire night. When morning came, she got up with a distracted mind. Even now, the events of yesterday kept creating turmoil in her mind again and again. Finally, Princess Tara thought that perhaps all this was just her misunderstanding. Who knows, maybe her father was not like that at all, and she was unnecessarily thinking wrong about him. With this thought, the princess decided to speak to her father. When she went to his residence, she did not find the king there because at that time the king had gone to the jungle to meet the Mahatma. King Madanpal returned to his palace after meeting the Mahatma. After thinking for a long time, he wrote a letter and handed that letter to his servant Bhima, ordering him, "Take this message letter immediately and go to Pratapgarh. Give this letter to King Dharmapal." As soon as he received the king's order, servant Bhima immediately set out for Pratapgarh. After traveling for a few hours, he reached Pratapgarh. King Dharmapal was sitting in the royal court holding his assembly. Bhima bowed to King Dharmapal, and when he began to hand over the letter given by the king, King Dharmapal said, "What message have you brought? Read it aloud." Upon receiving the order, Bhima began to read the letter in the royal court. It was written, "Dear King, I am very sad to inform you that my daughter and your daughter-in-law, Princess Taravati, could not bear the shock of her mother's death and has left this world. I wanted to give you this information much earlier, but I myself was in shock after losing my wife first and then my daughter. Even today, I have gathered great courage to write this message. O King, please find another princess for Prince Abhimanyu's marriage. I apologize to you for this matter." King Madanpal. Upon hearing this news, King Dharmapal received a huge shock. But the shock felt by servant Bhima, who had brought the message, was many times greater than that of King Dharmapal. The incident of the king going to the Mahatma in the morning and now this letter, connecting all the dots, it did not take Bhima long to understand the king's evil intentions. When servant Bhima came to know about the king's evil intentions, that the wicked king was harboring very dirty thoughts about his own real daughter, he quickly turned his horse towards Vilasanagar and rode at full speed. In the olden days, when kings and emperors got their daughters married, the girl's father used to send servants and attendants along with dowry. Servant Bhima had also come to Vilasanagar in the same way along with Queen Prem Lata. That is why he had always remained loyal to Queen Prem Lata. When he came to know about the king's sinister intentions, he wanted to reach Princess Taravati at any cost before nightfall and inform her about all these things. He was riding swiftly towards Vilasanagar. Meanwhile, when Prince Abhimanyu, the son of King Dharmapal, received the news of the message sent by King Madanpal, the poor prince was completely stunned. The prince's condition was such that if you cut him, no blood would flow, as if there was no life left in his body. 7 or 8 years ago, when his marriage took place with Princess Taravati, Prince Abhimanyu had caught a glimpse of her. Those kohl-lined eyes of hers, that innocent face full of purity, ever since that day, he had been cherishing dreams of spending his life with the princess. He had spent every single day of these past years thinking that one day his wife, Princess Taravati, would come to him. With a heavy heart and tears in his eyes, Prince Abhimanyu could not believe at all that his wife was no longer in this world. On the other side, the wicked King Madanpal, as part of his disgusting plan, had given leave to all the servants and given strict instructions to the soldiers guarding the palace that no one should be allowed to enter the palace that night, nor should anyone be allowed to leave. The day had set. Evening had fallen. By evening, servant Bhima had also reached the main gate of the royal palace. But when he tried to go inside, the guards present there stopped him and said, "Don't you know that today the Maharaj has given leave to everyone?" Hearing the guards' words, Bhima was taken aback for a moment. But then, using his wits, he said, "The Maharaj had sent me with an important message and told me that when I return, I should inform him before going home. I am simply following his orders." Hearing Bhima's words, the guards allowed him to enter the palace. Bhima ran hurriedly and immediately went to Princess Taravati's resting chamber. Servant Bhima quietly entered the princess's room. When the princess, who was lost in her thoughts, noticed the servant, she got angry and was about to shout when servant Bhima spoke up. "Forgive me, Princess G, for entering your chamber suddenly like this without permission. But the matter was such that I had no choice but to come this way." Hearing Bhima's words, the princess became a little calm and said, "Tell me, Kaka, what is the matter that you have come to my chamber like this?" Then servant Bhima narrated everything to Princess Taravati in detail, from the king's meeting with the Mahatma in the morning till sending the fake message to Pratapgad, and said, "Forgive me, Princess G, for saying something so big with my mouth, but a father who, instead of sending his daughter to her in-laws at the time of her gauna, sends a false message of her death, something very disgusting and sinister must be going on in his mind." After listening to servant Bhima's entire account, Princess Tara felt as if the ground had slipped from beneath her feet. Then servant Bhima further said, "Daughter, I had come here to Vilasanagar with your late mother when she were still of a tender age. Since then, I have always remained completely loyal to her. When you were a small child, I had cradled you in my arms and played with you. That is why, when I came to know all this, I thought it necessary to inform you. Now I am leaving." Saying this, Bhima left from there. It felt as if the sky had fallen on Princess Taravati. The poor girl stood frozen where she was. Tears were flowing from her eyes like a waterfall. Her mind had suddenly gone numb. For a moment, she felt as if she was thinking nonsense about her father. How could any father be so lowly? But no, everything she had thought was absolutely correct. All the dots began to connect in her mind. She started seeing herself as the mango tree and her father as the owner of that tree. It did not take her long to understand why her wicked father had sent the false news of her death to her in-laws' house. When her mother was alive, she had properly made the princess aware of her father's habits. But she could never have imagined that he could be so fallen, so lowly, and that his thinking could be so dirty. She could never have thought of this even in her dreams. For some time, the princess sat in a dazed state, shedding tears. Then she thought that it was not right for her to stay here even for a moment longer. Her wicked father could come here any time. But where would she go at this time of night? Finally, the princess decided that no matter where she went, she would not stay here even for one more moment. With great courage, she composed herself. She took some clothes and valuable jewelry with her, wore very simple clothes, and when she reached the palace gate, the guards present there stopped her. "Who are you and what were you doing inside? Today the Maharaj has given leave to everyone, right?" Hearing the guards' words, Princess Taravati stopped in her tracks. On being stopped by the guards, the princess gathered courage and said, "My name is Sulochana. I am the maidservant of the princess. Today her health was not good, so she kept me with her. Now that she is feeling a little better, she has sent me saying, 'You go home immediately because today the king has given leave to all the servants. If you stay here, it will be disobedience of his orders.'" Hearing the words of the princess disguised as a maidservant, the guard standing on duty believed her and allowed Princess Taravati to go outside. After fooling the guards, Princess Taravati managed to come out. But now she faced an even bigger problem. Where should she go at this time of night? After walking some distance, the princess saw a house that looked like a ruin. Princess Taravati thought, I will spend the night here. I will go somewhere in the morning. With this thought, the princess went inside the deserted house and sat down in a corner. She felt like crying over her fate. She was once a princess who lived in palaces, and now because of her wicked father, she had to spend the night in ruins. Sitting like this, she somehow passed the night. When the first light of morning appeared, the princess started walking again. She was also worried that if her wicked father went to her room and did not find her there, he would start searching for her. That is why she wanted to go as far away as possible, and as quickly as she could. Princess Taravati was moving forward aimlessly at full speed. Meanwhile, when morning came, exactly what the princess had feared happened. As soon as it was morning, King Madanpal came to her room. When he did not find the princess there, it felt as if a snake had coiled around his chest. A search for the princess was carried out throughout the palace, but she was nowhere to be found. And how could she be found when she was not there? The disappointed King Madanpal was left wringing his hands. On the other hand, while walking continuously, Princess Tara got tired, and sat down for some rest on the bank of a river that was visible nearby. When the thirsty princess started drinking water from the river, she saw her own reflection in the water. Seeing her reflection, she began to hate her own beautiful appearance. She thought, what is the use of such beauty which makes even one's own father turn into a beast? If only she had been born ugly, perhaps she would not have had to face this day. With a broken soul and a tired body, the princess kept sitting there. Suddenly, a thought came to her mind. Why not go to her in-laws' house? She should go to her in-laws' house and tell them everything that had happened to her. Then she thought, with what face will I tell them all this? And why would they believe me? At that very moment, an idea came to her mind. Why not destroy this sinful beauty altogether? If there was no beauty left, then no one would desire it. No one troubles an ugly woman. With this thought, Princess Tara smeared her entire body with black soot. The next part of the story will soon be presented before you all. Thank you.